1, 2, 3, 4.
You're just another one hit wonder, that's what everyone sees. Ain't it funny how you wanna be the best, but you can't even get up and get dressed? Wasted, face it, you're never gonna make it. Rockstar, you won't get far. And I know you're confused. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974.
Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me. You don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I stand back and I watch you explore in perfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. I can't seem to move. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months that I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to.
You'll still have common days. Get caught in traffic during your commute. Overthink a text message. Get a song stuck in your head. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sino, and that is T-Van. And today we bring to you the NECC semifinal of Division 4, where we see Lackawanna play the Thunderbirds off the coast of Florida. Should be a good, nice matchup as it is a BO3 today. T-Van, how are we feeling on this spectacular night?
I mean, I'm feeling great. I was feeling really lazy this morning, and then I got the call to cast today, and nothing better for me to do on a Wednesday evening than watch some Rainbow Six Siege and talk about it with my best bud Sino. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. I know you're pumped. We were talking about it on the pre-show. I'm just ready to watch some great Rainbow Six.
Yeah, there's usually a large gap that stands in between the pre-show and the actual game when we talk about what really stands in between both of these teams and advancing on to the next round, and that's going to be, honestly, each other. Both of these teams that you do see below me are going to have to kind of battle to the death in these first two maps to the best of their ability to try to end it out in regulation. You don't really want to go to that decider map because that's uncharted territory, so you should really try to start off on your own map, try to win it, to go on to that series with one match point in hand, try to force the series and close it out in two. Otherwise, you might have to deal with a little bit of an unknown factor, which is going to that decider map, which is Chalet on the night.
Yeah, and starting off with Labs, which is slowly becoming a very default kind of map that a lot of teams like to go on. Something that we noted in the ban phase while we were actually looking at it in the pre-show is that Thunderbirds had the choice between attack and defense, and chose attack, which we have seen Labs start to slip into a 2-1 kind of, or a 4-2 in terms of the attacking side, usually more of a 3-3. So it's interesting to see that maybe they just have tech and they want to get some momentum going on their attacking side, or just end with defense and make sure that they have their strong side last. Something interesting to watch, and I'm excited to see what goes on. But I mean, Labs is such a classic, and I love watching it. So, you know, I'm pumped to see what these two teams got to bring to the table on Nighthaven.
I'm usually excited to see a Fortress, which unfortunately we don't see here tonight. But on Labs, as you mentioned before, it's becoming a favorite. It already has been loved within the competitive community, whether you're at Tier 1 or Tier 4 of Siege. It's such a balanced map. If not, it is the most balanced map in terms of attacker-defender side. So although the defender side is a little bit more preferred, choosing the attack, you can decide to get that out the way early so you can go on to the lavish lifestyle of defending Nighthaven on the second half of the game, which allows you to kind of sit back more relaxed and talk about the ins and outs and go to the drawing board when you kind of see things aren't working, and take your sweet times if you are trailing or even leading.
Yeah, and while we start to load into the map, I do want to let you know that the Forge Trials is presented by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. I mean, me personally, I'm excited to see what Nighthaven brings to the table, and what kind of bans we start seeing with these two teams. Obviously, these are teams that we haven't really kept in our close eye, as Division 4 doesn't really have that much popularity as much as it, I think, could possibly have. So for me, I don't really have any expectations, which as a caster makes things more exciting. Because it's not kind of the boring, like, oh, we're going to see the same bands every round and we're going to see the same gameplay and whatever. You know, we kind of get to be on our toes a little bit and have some surprising Siege, and that's what I'm excited for.
I mean, talking about not the average bands, and we went right back to the staple bands now. Valkyrie is the kind of odd one out in this situation, although very broken operator. You usually see teams on the defensive of Nighthaven lose the ability to bandit trick or keep the walls closed, whether the teams on the attack like to opt out to take care of Cade and Bandit, or they go for the full-on utility denial on the Azami and the Mirror. So it looks like they kind of dipped their toes into getting rid of that Azami, but Valkyrie seems to be a big problem on that intel game, and as our metas continue to shift in throughout Siege, shields are a big problem. But that new addition of the Snake, whether you pair it up with a Deimos or even just a Capitao, gathering so much intel to kind of push players back into the site is such a crucial part of the executes nowadays.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Mira be left up. So, that is such a rare occurrence at honestly any point of the game. You watch, you play ranked and Mira's the first band. You watch pro and Mira's something that is very heavily contested, and you see that Lackawanna immediately locks it in, and they're going to take advantage of being able to play Rafters control with that Mira, as well as being able to play towards Connector. Especially because they don't have the Azami to be able to force Rafters fights, so playing with Mira instead is going to allow them a lot of space and a lot of really good fights to get through, as well as just really good info gain from that perspective. Lackawanna also providing themselves 2 different DMRs, the Tubarao, which we see already in meeting, looking for potentially a kill on this Solid Snake that just opened up, and he's going to get hopped out and get the opening frag.
I honestly, I'm a little lost for words there, but an opening pick, very aggressive to open up that round, and Thermite upside down repelling. You put that breach on the uppermost portion of that wall, which might be a little bit of a problem to kind of hop into that breach, because that vault's sound will give away the dead location of the players trying to get in through IT, which means the players that are trying to attack Aqua and Connector need to add on more pressure to kind of save the lives of the players that try to funnel in through IT because of the amount of sound information provided. And as you see that one player that lurks below in storage, this might be an issue, but it looks like they almost shot himself in the foot as Moss almost gets floor banged to their demise, but given a second chance at life, but Peko might be a problem here.
Yeah, it seems like Ella is going to be the first target for Thunderbirds to try to clear out. Already under a lot of fire, playing back storage, but where is the pinch? As Peko has that first contact and is just going to hold the cut, but who's going to sneak in on him? Don't really have the Solid Snake to try to clear either, so maybe it's just playing from IT and above, or just Peko kind of playing the kill. I feel like you can also use a fire arrow to maybe make something happen, but for now, he's kind of chilling and just wasting a lot of time for this Thunderbirds attack.
60 seconds remain, and there you go. Itoka gets that frag to even things up here, but it's only the first hurdle that you've been provided. You need to be able to start winning your ones to establish something in towards the site. You either want to get rid of that player that has the shotgun close, or that long angle that Saptic has with that DMR. That clock continues to run down against you guys, and you don't have any leverage. You're right back where you started out. You've lost your Snake, which is a big pick in itself here. Now the Capitao tries to funnel in through Aqua, gets a lot of damage dealt, and has the upper hand to win this gunfight here, but ends up losing it. Atoka gets a second one in trade. A 3-all as they look to just funnel in through IT, but it's too easy as Open gets the first kill with the shotgun and continues to sit in this position because nobody can get him off of it. This shotgun wins it every single day of the week, leaving just Atoka either lonesome in IT with absolutely nothing to do, and the one tap ends it out.
Really interesting brute force there from the side of Thunderbirds. They kind of just tried to shove themselves through IT and didn't even time their play at the same time as their kind of pinch player towards Connector would. If they 3-2-1'd and put the pressure and overwhelmed them at both sides, maybe that attack is playable. But with the way that they were playing, and obviously it's really difficult when your Snake is dead immediately, but when you even it up to 4-4, you have a really good fighting chance. But they were a little one-dimensional in the attack. They showed their cards, they showed where they were going to play, and where they're ending the round, and then didn't rotate at all. Didn't even try to put a misdirection or anything like that to force the defenders to move around and get out of their spots. I mean, Moss was able to just, or Open was able to sit and lay down under the Mira on the hop-in with a Mossberg and just absolutely murder them. Something that you need to clear out and have some sort of economy of utility to try to get, or someone flanking. But when you don't really have that kind of mid-round prowess to convert what space you do have into a winning round, you start to really find those big hurdles, and I mean, that's why the defense is always in an advantage.
For those of you who don't like guns too much and you want to kind of change of pace, you still want to watch collegiate but aren't too sure if Siege is your thing, Fanshawe is currently taking on Transylvania University on the mainstream for the NECC, which is TTV_NECC_esports in Rocket League. So if you want that car soccer on the board. So If you want to head on over to the main channel and just relax and watch some additional esports, there's a lot of games left to be played tonight, and such a great variety of it, which kind of allows us to sit back, relax, and just talk about the various types that we can see.
So far, Lackawanna. Oh my god! I was gonna just bring up the fact that they're extending up first floor on this basement hold, but that first floor extension is immediately gonna be broken as Open gets his head ripped off by Jokobi's Deimos. Now, Sama, the last remaining member towards first floor, being tracked by the death marker, needs to get out, but Thermite being one of the first picks towards the attack makes things a little bit difficult for the Thunderbirds' continued attack.
You know, T-Van, in all my type casting, I don't think I've ever seen that scope brought into a main lobby, but you know what, that's fine. And the Iron Side as well. I mean, it's a pick and response, and everyone's using the Magnifying 3 scope.
Dude, they love 2.5.
You know what? No, that's not even the 2.5, I don't think. I think it's a 3. I think
Even
it only
better.
goes on DMRs. I mean,
Even
beautiful.
better.
But,
Wow.
I mean, it's working to a certain extent. They got 1 pick, but they'll suffer 2, and one of them is your Intel operator, which could be a bigger problem than you might have anticipated. That logic bomb comes out to try to clear out this player that resides on the first floor, but a ways away. They have the general location of the Thorn, but nothing too close, which could be a problem in the remainder of the round.
Well, with this Thorn staying up and being on cafeteria, and as well as this Warden being able to play the stairs, this Ram has not been able to do anything yet. Not a single boogie drone has been activated to make this vert happen. 40 seconds remaining. That's not even enough time to make the vert happen and try to get any pressure or kills. They just have to hit the site direct at this point. But what can you do when there's no Thermite, there's no hard breach? Instead, it's just 30 seconds, so you have to pray that God takes your hands and shoots the gun for you.
Looks like Heitoka been blessed so far as it's the first in the round and Flame 2 previously, but again that shotgun in the close range has been a problem, and you really need to be able to close it down. The time continues to run down. I feel like the Thunderbirds really haven't been accounting for this clock expiring against them. Hello, Warden, there we go. That's their main ability. We can see through the smoke, and that's how you confirm and kill the second player that sits in Animus, and this is a little surprising. A very early timeout called in. Only 2 rounds into the game.
I mean, in the perspective of Thunderbirds, I kind of understand it, right? You thought that your primary side would be attacked, and you thought that you'd be able to get a lot of momentum going on the side and get a couple rounds under your belt, but you have 3 players that have just not been able to get anything on the board. It just seems like, so far, that the Thunderbirds are just completely disconnected from each other. They don't really know what their game plan is for the full round. They don't really know what their mid-round objectives are and what they should be doing compared to what Lackawanna's defense is showcasing. And it's not even that Lackawanna's giving us any different or like special kind of defenses. They're decently default. I mean, maybe not as default as turtling on basement, but extending up first floor can happen a lot. But it just doesn't seem like, as a team, they are figuring out during the round what they want to do and how to work as a team together to get those things happening and get it done. So I do like that timeout early on. Just get your guys' team just locked back in, back on the same boat, and let's rock and roll and get at least 2 or 3 rounds for this attacking half.
I mean, this could be just a classic case of flying too close to the sun. You wanted to get the hurdle out the way of attacking Nighthaven, but in the process you kind of starved out the momentum that you would have been able to potentially gain if you started out on the defense, considering you picked the spot. So Lackawanna kind of shooting themselves in the foot, or Thunderbirds, I apologize, in this situation, as this isn't their pick, but Lackawanna performing very well despite being on their home turf. The main idea after this timeout should be to continue to shut Thunderbirds down, and any type of attempt they make towards the site or clearing their roamers, because if they can approach either a 4-2 or even a 5-1 split, they're looking to kind of take Nighthaven home very early on.
I do like some of these changes of operators. I really like this Grim pickup, even though Grim did get a little bit of a nerf in this most recent patch of Rainbow. I think his Bs are just so effective, and the secondary utility that he brings to the table is equally as effective as well, of just being able to get space going. But something that I feel like Thunderbirds have really struggled with in these takes is just a go button, of take up space, get some flashbangs or something going, and just go. Now they have 2 sets of flashbangs in the pockets of Nomad and Thermite, and Graham has those Bs to cause some chaos and get Lackawanna out of these prone shotgun positions and get some kills going. And first kills that are probably going to be happening are on these 3 second floor players of Lackawanna.
That can opener was put in a little bit of an interesting spot that kind of exposes the position. And as you could tell, the defenders were kind of able to pinpoint exactly where that vault was coming in from, because the can opener wasn't placed at a crouch level position. But regardless of what happens, it's the Grim to open it up and now try to progress through electrical and connect to try to force these players out of servers and that offices area. This pressure continues to amount. You have that player in IT, you do the Grismont there, but it still hasn't activated. Forced to fall off. The second player looks to isolate, will win, instantly traded out. But you've taken care of that Ram, so that pick is worth it, but not before. Another kill rains on in against the Thunderbirds, and a 2v4 as Lackawanna are starting to struggle.
Yeah, Saptic is trying to be the win condition for Lackawanna of just preventing any plant going down, but for the Thunderbirds, they don't really care. So now he's forced all the way up back to the first floor. They're kind of playing this isolated cross, trying to maybe get a pick or 2, play some heroics before anything happens, but with Rune being seen on that drone through the drone hole, things might get complicated.
Saptic gives his team that fighting chance as you've brought it down. Just one person keeps this man advantage, but you have half a minute to get the job done. We know how the Thunderbirds kind of stall out when it comes to the execute, and that is the reason why they haven't been able to kind of convert or put anything on the board yet. You have the cross with this Nomad to continue to add in that push-pull factor from depth as the rest of your players try to either establish verticality or push in through the site. Now Solus kind of at a point of no return, forced in by that air jab, and will lose the gunfight. But who has the case, and why are they not planting yet? There we are. Thermite looks to put that case down, but there's that cross established by Atoka, and finally, post timeout, there's a round on the board.
I mean, just a completely different Thunderbirds team than we saw in the last 2 rounds. They looked so cohesive. They seemed that they had a general plan, and they worked towards the plan together. That second floor take was absolutely crucial from Thunderbirds, and they played it quite flawlessly. They only lost 1 man, and that was due to a really good swing from Lackawanna's Legion, who just kind of got a timing on the Ram as they were pinching the, I believe it was the E-Box player. So overall, really well played from Thunderbirds. They got what they wanted, and they got it fast, and they got it pretty easily. Should it have gone to the last 1 second of the round and got a little bit dangerous? You know, if we really want to be nitpicky, probably shouldn't have. It should have been a little bit easier, but in order to get your first round, the first round is always the hardest, and so now they have the pressure, they have they have the capabilities of saying, cool, we know how to win rounds, now let's do it some more. Warden being banned for the defenders also is unlocking Thunderbirds with a brand new strategy of just let's run them down with a blitz and maybe a ying and just try to kill them, because Warden has kind of been this big Achilles heel for every single attack that Thunderbirds has been trying to bring to the table.
One good round to be able to break the momentum of Lackawanna makes it more realistic to put your heads back in the game, and hopefully you'll use that not as a fluke round, but as the pushing factor that you take to continue to force off those mistakes. You saw how carried away Lackawanna were getting throughout that round, either sitting too long upstairs or trying to flank in unwarranted moments, and that led to those mistakes, which ultimately allowed Thunderbirds to kind of swoop in and pick off these players one by one. But this clock continues to run down against Thunderbirds, and we know how hard it is for them to kind of convert their time, but being able to get the first pick off of that shot, wow, I didn't even expect the finger to win it, but you've gotten rid of the Tabaro, which means no tricking, no getting rid of any lasers or electrical forms of util. That's a beautiful first pick to get yourselves in the game.
So far, so good for the Thunderbird take, and they're able to get the connector wall easily, as well as Bandit hasn't been able to run over and try to electrify that wall. So Thunderbirds has already gotten a lot of objective control for a second floor take minute into the round. This is kind of the default play that you'd want. Now, the question is, how are they going to play Rafters? They have the Clash sitting in IT on the side of Lackawanna. So is that something you want to contest, or you're going to end this connector side? I would say might as well take the fight towards Clash, or you could just find a random pick on Open and maybe try to ping out Moss here first floor and get killed there. Kind of the objectives that I would say as Thunderbirds, but we'll just have to see what they decide.
Just below 90 seconds remain on the clock, and you've lost your smoke as well, which means 2 critical pieces of utility for that mid to late round have been taken off the board completely. It seems like the Thunderbirds are aware of the third threat, but Xenia opens it up by getting rid of that Finka, looking for that double with that C4, but only forces off and delays that push temporarily, but not before Peko takes care of Moss, opening up all of Rafters now. This might be a problem for Lackawanna, but if they play their cards right, they might be able to establish some pressure to force these mistakes. Now Clash found outside, tries to get a kill, but no joy, leaving the Bandit to isolate these rounds, and these individual gunfights, it looks like it's going to be a full force flood from IT. Clock continues to run down, and this temporary flash means the Clash needs to watch the cross here. Will be able to deal so much damage to the Thermite, but not able to take him off the board completely. Finally, Xenia starting to fight back, and hold on, there might be something here. They're starting to play their cards right, they're fighting back. The Clash gets it, but the Thunderbirds strike back even better. They'll get 2, and they'll tie it up completely.
We're starting to see why the Thunderbirds chose attack as their first side. A very powerful start to their first round, or their first win on the second floor, of being able to take out the tuber out. Absolutely crucial, because that opens IT wall so fast. Usually it's a very long game of doing the bandit trick with the tuber out on the board, and having to just play the back and forth push-pull, and it just eats away at your attacking time. Being able to just rip open IT immediately completely disjoint the way that Lackawanna was wanting to play the defense. It made Clash unbearably impossible to play, because you can't play Rafters anymore. You can't play 90 at all, because IT is wide open and you're going to get sniped in the back. Or if you do commit to it, it's going to get real awkward. So being able to open that up and honestly just de-root exactly what Lackawanna was doing on their defense was absolutely crucial, and was really well done by Thunderbirds to be able to deny the Tuberau and Bandit and get a really great win on the board. Just good cohesion and a good pick from Peko onto Moss, who was on that late lurk towards storage. I don't know how they knew. I think there might have been a drone towards storage to hold the flank, but either way, really important pick to get there. And now they've got really good momentum going to face the second floor once again.
And again, it was almost a beautiful effort by Lackawanna, but I feel like it's the timing that really does come back to bite them. We talk about how it really is important to continue to force these mistakes through time, and they're so good at doing that in the first 2 rounds, but now they're just getting carried away for kills, and it's going to be the factor that could come back to be a thorn in their side for the remainder of this series. But I don't know what in the world the idea here is, because they've just beelined it into connector, but they've completely neglected the fact that there is a black mirror here being supported by the yokai, and Xenia goes big with the C4 as well. What in the world's gone on here? 3 bodies drop for Thunderbirds in a matter of 30 seconds, as it seems like these 2 rounds have gotten to them.
So normally on Nighthaven Labs, you'd see the first minute to 30 seconds being a very default, just open up the exterior walls like we saw last round of opening connector and IT. It seems that Thunderbirds have kind of ignored one of the walls and wanted to just open and maybe butt rush the connector side, thinking that they weren't really going to bolster that side up that much with bodies. Instead, though, they face a Mira, which wasn't in the last round, and I guess wasn't scouted from the drones, and Xenia was there to pick up 2 easy kills, a Nitro to be able to rip away the Finka as well. So all of a sudden, Thunderbirds halfway through the round are kind of clueless. There's not really a lot that you can do here, except for maybe heroics from a flash grenade of Nomad and just some weird mistakes from Lackawanna.
Yeah, one of those rounds that you really want to forget as fast as possible, but Echo kind of refuses to get flawless and will continue to do the legwork to try to bring his team back in throughout this round, as you have just below a minute left and you're 2 bodies shy now. It's not impossible, but it is quite hard when there's so much intel stacked up against you. Like Jacoby Cross, which in turn could be a massive blunder, but it seems like they already know. You, the Saptic's Yokais, but you've allowed him to get up close and personal to that Black Mirror. You're not expecting the action. You'll pay the price, and this could be another blunder here. This time for Lackawanna, but this verticality makes it quite hard to funnel in.
But with Moss being upstairs or downstairs, this could be a really good avenue if they don't go to where he's holding. This could be a great time to power up and just fight IT or fight command, get these 2v1s, or it's a weird gunfight and they're oh, wow.
What, the smokes? Why were the smokes at
smokes-
shack level? Why?
Unfortunately, it seems that this is not CS where like the smokes will fully flood through the doorway. They kind of made themselves a one-way. But to be honest, you know, that was a lot closer around than I thought. At 5v2, it was winnable. It was damn near winnable if they had maybe 20 more seconds and they didn't freak out, but it was close. I'll give them that.
I mean, close in terms of getting 2 bodies back, or close to the fact that they kind of just threw everything they had at a door and kind of forgot how smokes work. You can understand the confusion, but fortunately it's just not how that works in Siege. But
All good.
Lackawanna reestablished their lead, which means so far throughout all 6 rounds that we have seen in this game, the Thunderbirds have not been able to establish the lead a single time. And this is that round where they can force a deadlock, as they'll set themselves up for an optimal position on that defensive side. I mean, their plan, it isn't failing completely. They are holding out as best they can, but it really is about how long you can continue to do so, because a 4-2 split against you guys is default, yes, but in turn could come back to kind of shoot yourselves in the foot if Lackawanna is better on the attack.
I was about to bring up the fact that Lackawanna is doing a kind of SSG roam of just having 3 people upstairs. But last time they did it, they were bolstered with castles and a lot of utility to play around. But this go around, it just was like vibes with legions and pulses and just playing off of info, and not really dedicating that much resources fully upstairs. And it was going to be worrying if they allowed Snake and Nomad to get online and with Lion to fully clear them out. However, Saptic just fully kills Jacoby on one of the exterior doors. And now they're terrified to clear second floor, which they should know is empty if they were able to kind of put their drones in the right spot. But, you know, slowly but surely, they'll figure out that's all clear, and instead their eyes should be towards storage and cafeteria, where Sama and Moss will be waiting for them with open arms.
Soliton Radar might have been mishandled, which allows the defenders to kind of slip through the grid established. As hold on here, just be the range, but Snake taking this a little bit more carefully in the wrong spaces. You need to use that to get closer. You're still too far, and I think this is going to be a big blunder as you're establishing verticality without a Nomad as well. That leaves you completely unprotected. The random wall bangs only confirm that you're in the area of storage, but that way cleans it up, gets rid of the Legion. But guess what? There's still one more roamer you have to deal with, and Xenia doesn't make that easy by taking care of said Snake, which means no intel. Saptic strikes with a C4, and it's all starting to crumble.
Sharks in the water. Saptic's able to get a kill with the Nitro, as well as Xenia with the TSG through the floor. Echo trying desperately to get something going with the verticality that they did establish, but you know, with the amount of pressure that they're being put on them horizontally and vertically, you can't feel that comfortable peeking these angles. And again, 30 seconds remaining, they gotta establish something to get onto the bomb site itself, and it might just be a lion scan into dropping from cargo hatch. It seems like that's what they're bolstering, but
Hi there.
Moss on a beautiful flank. I mean, it just seems like curtains are slowly being drawn on Thunderbirds.
The scope just, I'm sorry, it gets me every time. I just haven't seen it used ever. But Xenia, easy kill. That's a triple if I'm not mistaken, which means Lackawanna now go into the split with 4 rounds in hand and 2 opposing, which means they're given a 2-round buffer to make as many mistakes as they want, as the Thunderbirds need to go back to the drawing board. The hard part's over, but you are not on your home turf, which might make this a little bit harder. And if I'm not mistaken, we aren't doing the 2-minute split timeout at half, which makes this a lot harder for Thunderbirds to be able to mentally reset.
You know, Cena, talk about that scope for a little bit. I actually used it yesterday. I, for some reason, actually opened up the video game Rainbow Six Siege and tried it out. And I forgot with the new season that a lot of my settings and attachments and like all of my operators no longer have the cosmetics. Everything went to default, which kind of sucks. Anyway, fast swap to Flores, and I swapped to Flores DMR because they had a Rooney, you know, and I wanted to shoot, the Amaros, and I wanted to shoot the Kibas. And it had that scope equipped by default. And I actually hit my controller that's on the side of my desk off of my desk because the sensitivity on that, like, of the magnification is so low, and I like fully like used my whole shoulder to flick. That scope it's awkward. But you know, I feel like on the right map, with the right user in the right hands, it might be techie.
I miss that scope, but I do miss it on the 2.0 magnification with that housing. I mean, it's a good scope, but I mean, when you get past 2.5 magnification, you're kind of zooming into the operator's eyebrows rather than their head, which
10 seconds remaining.
could kind of cause some unwanted tunnel vision, which is the reason why it isn't
5
used.
seconds remaining.
But I mean, yeah, I think it's your point. I feel like I have to use my entire mouse pad
Attackers are moving out to
to
locate a
kind
bomb
of
and
get from
defuse it.
point A to point B, even if it is a couple of centimeters. So
Wait.
could be a blunder.
Wait. Oh. I thought I was gonna watch like a TikTok Nitro lineup, like.
It's the most
guys,
common Nitro it is on
welcome.
Nighthaven.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. He just didn't even go for it, though. Twitch, though, I'm very curious to watch this Aurora. I've been wanting to watch more Auroras with the new buff that she's had, with the amount of range that you can do. I do know that from Blue, or from Aqua Hall, you can roar off Electrical and IT, which could be, like, there's a lot of availability that Aurora can do on this second floor take. So I'm excited to see what Lackawanna have in their strat book to be able to use this Aurora. Maybe Aurora off rafters and force. I mean, that could be a play. That could be tech. I don't know. I think there's a lot of fun creativity to be had in this attack with what Lackawanna is bringing to the table.
Yeah, not really what I was expecting, considering I feel like the more default takes, now that we know Aurora can start off with all 4 of her barricades, you can either funnel in through Aqua or get rid of the cross coming in from Aqua, whether you're coming from the IT side or the Aqua side. There's so many different uses, but now losing the operator first as you've kind of beelined it into Electrical. I'm starting to kind of find it hard to understand what the idea here was, except for just feeding the opposition, as you've now lost 2 bodies in Electrical with absolutely no real estate gathered. Xenia now able to get rid of that player that occupies rafters and take rafters for themselves, but connector's going to be a very big issue now that you don't have any electrical pressure whatsoever.
Xenia has been a big name on Lackawanna's side. Already 11 kills on round 7. Needs to start pulling more crosshairs so that this connector player of Opid can get going and get activated, but they're still looking at him. So maybe Opid's going to pull some attention so that Xenia can push on the other side with Saptic. Could be a great timing if they find it. However, it seems that Thunderbirds are a little aware and they're holding on. I mean, they have the pressure and they have the amount of people to be able to just sit on their angles and chill, wait for Lackawanna to make a mistake. Need some heroics from Lackawanna. And it seems that Ash from below hasn't found anything, and Saptic dying there. It's not a great sign for this attack.
Oh, good shot by Xenia to open it up, and looks like for Lackawanna, the main idea, for a lack of better words, is to just frag out to the best of your ability, as Xenia is the second player on the team that is the only positive one.
What?
The other one is
What?
barely positive. I don't know how you're able to just vault in to electrical, but you're in the red time, which means you need to establish as much space between you and that last attacker as possible. The pros don't fake as you're halfway through the plant. You just need to put it down. The question is, do you know where it is? And it's the easiest shot for Jacoby. An easy round for the Thunderbirds, and Xenia can't do it all by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, just quite the blunder from Lackawanna's attack to just lose to the Aurora so fast without even establishing any of those barriers to be able to do anything with. It just seemed like their idea fell from there. I don't know what they were really looking for when they're fully going through, or when they want to start attacking through electrical with Aurora. I feel like you want to take either one side or the other of IT/Raptors kind of side, or like you said, Aqua, and just power across and just fully cut the map in half. But when you're entering the map from electrical, you're already cutting the map in half. So it seemed a little awkward, especially with the weaponry that you were bringing to the table of so many DMRs. Maybe you want to take more of that close range gunfight rather than going into the range of the SMGs. But I think if they're maybe they thought they had a timing on that connector player, and if they did get that pick, that round could have been a lot easier. It felt like a mismanagement of ideas that I don't think the 5 players fully knew exactly what was happening, just by the mismanagement of resources that was going down.
As we have lost a player, it gives us more time to kind of break down what we've been seeing. I mean, Thunderbirds have closed down that deficit to just 1 round as they've come off of the split on the defensive side here. I mean, kind of gifted those 2 picks, which kind of allows us to talk about what their main ideas are, but I feel like you and I can't really fully break down what we're expecting from Lackawanna until we see them kind of save their bodies properly, as losing 2 players in electrical so early on to the round not only gives the big advantage to Thunderbirds, but it gets rid of your momentum. It gets rid of so many dynamics that you really need to be able to establish a larger lead, which in turn can contribute to the Thunderbirds just kind of waking up and taking the lead here, as this is the closest this game will be. 4-3 in the earlier stages of the game allows you to build something up here, because once you get past that 5-round mark, you're getting into that match point territory. So hopefully for the Thunderbirds, this has been the time where they're able to kind of consolidate and go back to the drawing board, clean up their act, and push as hard as they can to either force a deadlock or take the lead in the upcoming rounds.
And obviously, as you can tell on your screen, there was a tech pause happening on the side of Thunderbirds. I think Jacoby needing to restart his game and or fix some issues on his side. So we are just waiting. Seems Lackawanna is actually taking this time to talk about their strats and what they want to do. Unfortunately, there is nothing really for Lackawanna to do all that much to change their go, as they don't really see what Thunderbirds is bringing to the table. So, turns out, thank you to our producer, Lackawanna is in Pennsylvania, which is one walking office reference. But unfortunately for me, and this might be a detriment to the bit that our producer is asking for, I haven't really watched The Office.
What? You've lost it. No, you've lost it. I'm sorry. I have to call you out now.
It just wasn't really my thing. I mean, it was good.
Not even the
I just feel
version?
like some of the worst people I know, the only show that they ever watched was The Office, and so it kind of just like pulled me away. You know what I mean?
No, not really. I wouldn't let an individual pull me off the show, but if it's multiple people, then I understand. But I feel like The Office was just such a classic that I really just I can't agree with that, T-Van. That show brought me up as a kid.
I grew up with SpongeBob, bro. Like that was what I grew up with.
I obviously watched cartoons, but like The Office was the reality TV that I really I mean, are we the only ones that can see that? I really hope not, because we'd just be laughing like idiots.
Okay,
Oh,
I was gonna say we're gonna sound schizophrenic. Okay, I will say, like, what I have seen, it is cute. I have seen the show more, but I'm not like somebody that like marathons it. Like, oh, I'm rewatching The Office. Like, I watched it the one time. I was like, yeah, that was good. Like, I understand the hype. and I think it is good. The episode that I always think about a lot, and I know we're in the round, but while we're on the topic, one last note to redeem myself is the episode where Pam puts her art in a museum, and
Michael buys it.
yeah, and he's like starts to cry, and I'm like, that's really cute. Good show. Anyway, no electricity on the side of Thunderbirds to deny this thermite, so Thatcher is actually useless to bring. But that's all good. He's got a good gun to use, so no worries.
In recent days, I've seen Thatcher being used to kind of zap any C4s out the sky as they're being thrown. Maybe even the Toxic Babes as well, but Toxic Babes do have a shorter fuse time, which makes it a little bit harder compared to a C4, but verticality is going to be the biggest enemy of Lackawanna here as you're going to try to get an execute going, but that way you can see through the smokes, and you can also look directly down. You try to plant, it'll shoot right through it.
Yeah.
Just have you use the util to do that, because not like you're going to use the Monty like a shield and have somebody plant behind him. You're going to use the Monty as the planter, which is going to be a big blunder if you can't get into the corner. Now, if you're looking to send it up, you're sending Candelas. It's just redundant. The Warden's whole abilities, he can see through all of this, but you've let him kind of escape, and you need to hit toes. That's exactly what you'll do. Saptic touches ground into storage, but it's a little too late. Pecco needs to clean things up and get rid of Jacoby, as you really do need that Toxic Babe finally rezzed up here, but you don't have that player that can see through the smoke, so this could be a bigger issue. But you've reestablished so many critical positions as the cross site. Atoka gets rid of Open. And hello, guys, we need to wake up. It's all starting to crumble for the attackers.
3v3 now with the minute 15 remaining. This could, it is still winnable for the side of Lackawanna to recover this. No Candelas, though, for the side of Saptic. But the amount of space and the kills that they've gotten so far is a lot of good space. If Saptic is able to kill Jacoby or get some entry from the position that he's at and free up Moss and Xenia to get something rolling on the site proper, could be huge. Saptic finally getting that Jacoby kill. Now they can focus on the two players that they have some information on, especially Atoka. If they can get a drop on this player from the hatch that Saptic is near, or just cover the plant that they're going for right now, could be huge, but they're just forgetting about Pecco.
I mean, how many times have we seen this plant denied? I feel like it's the fourth attempt now, and you've lost your overhead. That halo that's been watching above and got rid of that main player. It's kind of gone now, but
what?
I don't know. Master just allowed
No
to
way.
beeline it into the site and isolate, but the shotgun at that range raises some question marks, but is able to get the job done here as the Thunderbirds strike back yet again. And we're into a deadlock here as Lackawanna is starting to fall apart at the seams, and there's their timeout being called.
I've seen more timeouts from these two teams than I've seen from any Division
yeah.
1 collegiate team. This is, I love it. I think timeouts are the most underutilized thing in T3, T2, anything except T1. But a very awkward attack from Lackawanna to put it lightly. I understand the idea that they're going for, and I actually think it is the correct idea. The Thunderbirds are fully off-site. There's one player, that's Jacoby, that is on-site itself. But they just took too long in between the breach of the main wall and of the killing of Warden to get something going. What they did is they opened up the breach, they yelled at Thunderbirds what they wanted to do, and then they let Thunderbirds react and get into position to deny it. No pressure on the Warden was enough to be able to allow Monty to actually get the bomb down. When they did put pressure, it was a single person going down. Do we really need 4 people on that breach to hold hands with each other? Or can we get one person to help with that gang to kill that Warden? Because that Warden was the only reason that Thunderbirds won that round in the early round. Just the cohesion that is lacking. There wasn't a single 3-2-1 in that 3v3 either. Just seems people are so scatterbrained so far from these rounds that we've been seeing.
10 seconds to insertion.
Hopefully they're kind of able to clean it up, as it is kind of disastrous that every time we see an execute try to go down, it's rejected by the direct win cons. And who would have thought when you throw flashes at a Warden, he won't get flashed? But hey, sometimes we need to kind of reiterate that stuff on broadcast. But hopefully this round was used as the buffer As again, Lackawanna have kept a safe distance. They haven't let Thunderbirds overtake them in terms of the lead, but this is their map, and the fact that it's this close is a little bit concerning. But the fact that they're calling the timeouts, as you mentioned before, shows the initiative to kind of get that job done. But I do hope that something valuable was talked about. We didn't just sit around for 45 seconds and kind of just talk about the weather.
Or talk about The Office. Yeah.
That's our job.
Well, or lack thereof, you know. By the way, though, if we remember last half, this is kind of the point where Thunderbirds swung the map into their favor. Was when they attacked the first floor, got the win, and then started to collect a couple more wins on their attacking side. So potentially Lackawanna does the same thing and pushes us into an overtime. And with the Snake and Blackbeard starting to clear top side, with Ram starting to pinch from CC, it could be trouble for the Thunderbirds defense.
There's a lot left to do, and you guys need to hurry up because time isn't infinite on the attack here, especially when the Thunderbirds started off big. You've been able to establish that pressure, but there's Godlin, able to re-establish that man advantage, or let's say that deadlock, as they're back up at 4 apiece, and Jacoby to strike back yet again, and that's 2 for the Thunderbirds, but not before Saptic finally reels it back in. You guys have to do something as you've now started to trail. The pressure is starting to topple their attacks round in and round out. Could this be that momentum break that Lackawanna couldn't really suffer, because it really looks like they've fallen apart at the seams since that first round where we thought they were going to be an overpowered unit, but the individual prowess from these players is giving them that chance to reel it back in. Saptic has 2 kills to easy isolate, but that whiff just gives a second chance to Jacoby that can't capitalize off of. Leaving the Sophia in a 1v1. The case is a ways away, which means it's a 1v1 that you need to win to give your team that lead yet again. Traded enough health to even out the health bars here, which gives you the advantage, but those toxic babes are going to be a problem. Only 1 tick as you've escaped it. So much more pressure is going to build up on you as long as you let that way continue to play ring around the rosy, but not before you catch him on the rotation. Oh, smoke! We gotta be careful when we're running through rotates, but apparently that memo was missed. Lackawanna somehow maintained the lead.
I mean, just a team deathmatch on the second floor. Both teams weren't. I just want one of these days, like, I want to hear the comms in a take like that, because not like in a brash way, but it seems like I don't know where the drones are in the mid round when they're attacking and when they're actually like clearing the second floor. Do they have any concept of where they're looking or
Nope.
what they're pinching towards? Or and that's where I see the problems for these attacks for both sides, is that they don't really, they're kind of going in willy-nilly praying that they win the gunfight, when they should be doubling up and getting these 2v1s, and dare I say 3v1s, because of the way that Lackawanna had all 5 members on that top floor to clear. You have info from Snake, you have a shield of Blackbeard. Why are those 2 not connected and playing with each other and having a 3-man core, and then letting the 1-1 isolated players of Top CC and IT to go in later? Why are they the ones in the first contact? These are a lot of questions that I have that are making these attacks just so difficult for themselves. But again, hey, they got the win. They're getting that confidence and that bolster back in their system. And now as they attack the second floor again, I hope that they start to kind of comprehend a little bit more foresight going into this round, or we can die to a nitro.
And it's
That
the
works
snake.
too.
And it's the snake. Oh god.
And
Oh
snake.
my god. I need to hear the comms, Steven. I feel like you couldn't have said it better. I honestly am at a lack of, not even patience, not a lack of words. I don't know what to say. I have no idea what the idea here is, and the fact that we're allowing ourselves to get refragged this easy is just, it's confusing to me. We've worked so hard to get to a certain point. You've gotten rid of the snake, sit in the corner, run the clock out. No, we get carried away. We fly too close to the sun. It's a third Icarus reference I've made, and it feels like it's not sticking as Thunderbirds continue to undo everything they've done in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's still a lot of traps that Lock want to have to fight through, but they're given so much space. Well, 2 of them have taken that space so far. There's still the Grim and the Thermite trying to get themselves in, but with Grim able to connect through Connector, they can kind of just brute force Connector with Blackbeard and flush out these players. But the question is, do they know about Jacoby? I don't think they really do, but oh, well, now they do with that last drone. But with the shotgun, I don't think he can really do all that much. Trades going through, though, as they start to take.
I'm sorry, I'm in awe looking at the scoreboard right now and the stats. I mean, Xenia's 15 and 7. Saptic follows close with 12. And then you look at the other side. Datway's 1 and 9, and Jacoby's 11 and 7. I mean, such a wide contrast of frags and non-frags, which, well, hello. Atoko with a shot to break double digits as well to join the club, but I mean, individual gunfights shouldn't be the way a team wins a map, but it seems like it's starting to become exactly that, as Saptic is forced to win a 1v3 situation with a vertical cross, which honestly seems impossible to win, especially that there's a shotgun waiting below. But maybe patience is a virtue and you can sniff out the mistakes here.
1v3, you have 2 flashes. You can maybe isolate this pillar player, but when it's a high-low, closer to CC, and you still have Jacoby underneath, kind of a shark in the water, giving just live comms of where you are, makes things really difficult. You might as well just take this time to just talk to your team about what the next step is for this next round. You're going to be fighting the basement. How do we collect ourselves again and win this basement next round? Because what that second floor gave us wasn't anything convincing. We're seeing a similar pattern as well of the fact that, you know, when they get a lead and when they are successful in their initial game plan, they kind of hard-headedly push themselves through that gap that they open up. They're not really thinking about, oh, we have 2 minutes left, we can explore the rest of the map and continue to put them like fish in a barrel. They put themselves through the one side. It's very one-dimensional on their attacks, and the way that they end it isn't anything special. So I hope that they start to use that time wisely in terms of thinking about how to mid-round game, but so far it's just kind of Saptic and Xenia getting kills, and if they don't frag out, then the round just ends.
I'm sorry, I'm just in shock. What are we watching? I'm in awe that
10 seconds
this game is so individual, yet so coordinated at the same time. I mean, both teams really want to execute certain ideas, but it's done in such a way where it looks like it's just 5 individuals running into the site and giving away their lives. And I know that sounds a little mean, but it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting because it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. Like they have really good ideas. Like a lot of their takes are like, I understand what they're going for. There's just, yeah, that mismanagement of timing with themselves and like when to start going. Then that's the issue, right? It's fascinating.
I'm like Bill Nye right there. It's fascinating. It is. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why. I just thought of Bill Nye for a second. Thank you for that time to light. I appreciate that. Saptic opens it up and gets rid of Lake Teru. Now, that's first pick on the board. Now, regardless of who wins that round, it's match point. Now, Lackawanna, you've been struggling, but you've been able to give yourself that first pick. I hope to God, please look up this time.
Oh, we're doing it again.
Please.
We're doing it again.
I beg, look up.
Well,
It
okay.
can't happen again, right?
Ying is banned this time, Sino. So how do they deal with the warden? They have the sends walls, and we kill the warden before we do the take. They doubled up second floor, and now the take is so much easier. Oh my God! I used to pray for times like these.
I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know. I mean, it's so well executed, but how much you want to bet they didn't account for a second roamer? There's no snake brought. You opted for the Dokkaebi, and That could be the thorn in your side, as Snake is 10 times better when it comes to cleaning up the act of pesky roamers, but nobody in this game can see through Sen's lasers when they are activated, so that will be the main idea here. The C4 deters any attackers temporarily while it allows the smoke to get into a good spot. Plant looks to go down, and the collateral damage is going to get rid of almost all of the Monty's health, but he'll just fall off and put it down in the corner in the meantime. Jacoby gets a kill. Hello!
What?
He just can't beeline into the site! He'll get one for his troubles. Atoka strikes back! Saptic's left on the vert by his lonesome. What the hell is happening?
Jacoby just got active, and then the mute also got active on the coverage of the Monty. Someone help my boy out. But if there's anybody in a 1v2 that I feel confident in winning, it's going to be Saptic. He got the opening frag earlier to make this round even playable. But with 20 seconds remaining... Oh, he's got a freebie. Sino, he's got a freebie. This is going to be a 1v1.
There we go. Broken it open. He has 15 seconds now to get the job right now. Saptic has caught so many defenders lacking. Mute, get out of dodge and just sprint out of EXO, or sit close to the shotgun, or take the gunfight with the SMG-11? That was not on my choice board. Hello?
You know what? Hell yeah. That's awesome. That was awesome. I'm just glad that Lackawanna has learned from their previous mistakes, and they showcased the same good idea, but this time with a couple more layers to allow themselves to win it a little bit easier. Should it have ended in a 1v2 with Saptic just being the GOAT and having a lot of heroics? Probably not. Jacoby getting 2 feels illegal. However, you got the win. You just need one more round win. Let's try to attack the basement with a different idea this time. I think Thunderbirds are kind of catching on to the way that you're attacking basement. So maybe you can thermite open the main wall, but play a little bit differently. Maybe do a backside take, maybe do a storage side take, and get something going from there. But I'm liking the ideas. I'm liking the way that we're playing this game. Or maybe just do a full roam clear game, because they always have like 3 or 4 people up top side. Might as well just get some freebies, potentially. You know, there's a lot of different ideas. I really hope that they don't go for the exact same takes that they just did. Because you're at match point, big dog. You got this. The world is in your hands, Lackawanna. It's just your time to close it all out.
Fair enough. I couldn't have said it better, but I do really hope that it's executed in a better fashion than some weird 1v1 that smoked Ego Chows at 15 meters distance. So hopefully that changes, but it looks like the same idea of verticality here, and they've learned from their mistakes, so they'll reinforce that wall in IT as well, which allows another roamer to be the second Overwatch for the player that sits in storage. So it's just Overwatchception. One player sits in storage to watch the players in sight, and the other sits in IT. First, Grismont moves Monty's shield to the side temporarily, but in the meantime, you'll just give him the free back and the freest kill of your life. In the meantime, after that, Atoka strikes back, but Open gets himself on the board as well. 3 deaths in a matter of 10 seconds as this entire round's been opened up. Peko, if you know what's good for you, fall back while you can.
And while they fall back, Lackawanna, you might as well open up main breach and then maybe start going a direct. You know that there's 2 people still roaming. You don't have any more roam clear. Your Dokkaebi just died. Might as well just start taking some space towards site. Or we can continue to play mud and throw away a free kill. That works too. Able to escape though. Oh. Okay. I got scared. So, you know, if Saptic died there, I might have yelled. However, he didn't die yet. And that's great. Xenia, there's someone above you. Lock into him. They get the revive off. They're starting to play towards tank. At least the Monty is pulling some crosshairs and putting pressure on these roamers to start to retreat back to site. Look up drops. Okay. Maybe try to crossfire, but storage stairs are still open. So Lackawanna, how do you want to end this?
I better hope that's rhetorical, as looks like the SMG-11 finally works out for a player, as Hopid will fall victim to Peko's lurking and go down through EXO. Continue to force out those mistakes, but Jacoby is unaware that there's a player waiting below. And Xenia strikes back, looking to break that 20 kill threshold. 2 players here excelling as they sit on 33 kills together. Now Lamonte tries to putting the case down while the players upstairs will watch, and it will be successful. Lackawanna just play ring around the rosy and bring this player in to completely shut down Nighthaven Labs and go on to border with the win, and Xenia confirms that, and that's the first map done.
Wow. Well, Lackawanna taking their map pick. 7-5, not super convincing, but showcasing that this series is going to be quite the barn burner. Going all 12 regulated rounds to make that happen. And I mean, we are seeing like Scottie Pippen levels of play and Michael Jordan on the side of Lackawanna. 17 and 16 kills is what I just saw there on that scoreboard. I mean, especially when we're going to border next map, so, you know, these guys are going to start frying. And I am terrified for Thunderbirds to have to try to deal with those two players because, man, they are on fire and they're looking to take control of this full series.
Keep in mind that this is going to be the Thunderbirds pick, so border is going to be a little bit of a chaotic map. I do hope those executes are cleaned up by that second map. Hopefully we've learned what Warden does in and throughout the game, as it was a little bit of an interesting game. Individual prowess seemed to be the main factor that led a team to win on Nighthaven Labs. Hopefully that narrative changes on border, but we wait for the other side of this break to have border ready for you guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Go on myself. I'm cold steel stainless. My glass half full. Always said don't suffer no fools. Serpents, daydream. I bite, you call me lovely. Got a sweet tooth. Gonna get the sugar from you. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey,
I wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you.
You'll still have common days. Put off your term papers till the last minute. Eat cold pizza right out of the fridge. Update your fantasy roster. This is not one of those days. A few weeks a year and you'll discover the most uncommon time of your life.
Welcome back, everybody. What an interesting first map we had. Nighthaven ends as we were getting closer and closer to max regulation. Actually, we finished max regulation. We were one round shy away from going to overtime, where Lackawanna finally struck the heart of the Thunderbirds and now take us to border with one map in hand, which means ultimately they're on the series point.
Yeah, and looking at Border, there's going to be a lot of improvements needed to be made for both of these teams, as Border is a map that is relentless for both sides. It is a tiny map, it gets claustrophobic, and everything needs to be crisp and clean, and that's why we're going to look at the uncommon traits for these teams to see what needs to be improved. And these uncommon traits are brought to you by the Army National Guard. Find your calling at nationalguard.com. Sino, what are we looking at for the Thunderbirds side?
Okay, so for the idea to start off on the attack, it was commendable, but it almost crumbled against them. They need to be able to continue to go down this pathway. I honestly encourage the pathway to kind of get the hard thing out the way and then kind of soar on the defense, but that transition needs to either be on a 3-all split, or they need to kind of bounce back better off of that 4-2, because we saw them close down that difference to one round, but from there they couldn't really go further than that, and that is where Lackawanna was able to force out all of those mistakes and force those blunders in the 1vx's. The communications on the executes we were seeing so many times where operators of both sides, regardless of who was on the defense, could just beeline it across the site and just kill that planter without that coverage. So the communication for the Thunderbirds is going to be the main critical piece that can kind of allow them to advance as a unit and become better as a complete team. And the third and final one, you guys may not recognize what park the bus means, but don't worry, fear no more. You have a football, soccer expert here. Parking the bus means essentially play more defense. Don't get too aggressive outside of the site here. In soccer, you're trying to protect the net, which means you bring everybody back into your own half and make sure that nobody gets past your defensive lines. Instead of putting 2-3 people outside of the site, you can park the bus and allow the attackers to come to you in a bunker strat, which allows you to have more utility stacked up on the site and more bodies to be able to take those ones on hand.
It is exactly what you need to do against a team like Lackawanna and what they've been doing, especially with their one big strategy of let Zaptic and Xenia kill. These guys are absolutely insane and keep picking away at those defenders that are just stragglers on the defense. When they are fully on these 4-man roams, if you just let them keep getting their stragglers, it's going to be over for them. And with that, stay flexible and fluid with the way that you are able to play these attacks. We are seeing very one-dimensional ideas from them. They open up one side of the map and then stay there for the rest of the round. Instead, I want you to open up on one half. If you're playing on when we're playing on border, I want you to put pressure on one half and then allow someone else to explore the other half and try to get some kills while they're distracted. And with that being said, part of being fluid and flexible is playing with information, and that information is brought to you by the second drone that you have in your pocket that we are seeing Lackawanna refuse to keep within their pocket. They're throwing these drones away so fast. Keep one or two up. Keep them in your pocket. Let them be available for you to be able to play the last minute with and just play with more information than the defense have. And I think this border will be easy peasy lemon squeezy for Lackawanna to take away and be able to watch it themselves go to face against Flint, Michigan in the finals next week.
Yeah, and the thing with Border is it's very, very constrained compared to Nighthaven Labs. So many more gunfights will be forced to be had, and hopefully we see one team kind of rise from those ashes. But the thing is, we know both teams are willing to call the timeouts, take a step back, and even take pseudo timeouts when they see a 1v4 or a 1v5 on the board with little to no time left. We know they have what it takes to be able to talk out their issues. All they have to do is apply it actively. That's what kind of makes a good team good and a good team great. You need to be able to kind of talk better and get your first foot forward to be able to actively adapt to what the other team is doing to be able to establish a lead. And hopefully that's something that Thunderbirds are learning how to do. And for Lackawanna, it should just be about shutting this out in 2 maps.
We'll just have to see, though. It's Border. Anything can happen on this map. And that's why I freaking love this map. So, I mean, it's just... Dude, especially with the way that we watch Labs being played, I am so excited to see what weird roams and fun little plays that we see on Border. Because like we keep saying, Labs, they turn into a TDM map, and Border is the TDM map. So I think both of these teams, obviously it's Thunderbird's map pick, as we see in the graphics, but I feel like both of these teams are gonna thrive on a map like Border, and I'm so excited to see what weird runouts are they gonna do, what gunfights are they gonna start running out on with just them feeling silly and going for it. I think Border with these two teams is a dream come true.
I think Fortress would have been a better choice, as it's newer, where it's not fully memorized, and it just creates so much chaos. I don't know. I feel like it would have been a better option here, but I digress. We can settle on Border. And we see that Amaru's 6th picked off as Capitao quickly takes her place, but I'm already excited to see how the pacing's being set here, as a lot of chaotic operators are being brought here. Not for a rush, but more to take as much possession of the site as possible.
Yeah, Amaru being an opening pick is kind of crazy on a map like Border, because you don't really, you can go up some hatches and have some fun, and that Supernova can be a fun little one pump with that suppressor on it. But I think, it's a small enough map where you can kind of get away with whatever guns you want, play some DMRs, and I am assuming that Thunderbirds wasn't expecting Lackawanna to open up this Border with a first floor hold. Expecting a default not server side, but an archive side and armory. But instead, it's going to be a first floor, playing Teller's bathroom, which we've seen get pretty popular recently. And they're going to do their famous Lackawanna full roam, and Thorin immediately kills the Blackbeard, of all people. And it's Sama on that kill, someone that was pretty quiet in the last round.
Getting rid of the spear entry, a massive pick as well, knowing that establishing a aura on this roster means possession of the site should be the biggest idea once they get in. Now, able to use your Razor Bloom secondarily, but you're prioritizing the Uzi first, kind of using the Razor Blooms as frag grenades, as Sama had 3 spare, now only 1, as both have been thrown down. The C4 takes care of Lake, which means no more Terror drones for the remainder of the round, and those castles will either have to be broken via can openers in the pocket of the Grim, or to isolate and just punch them 9 times. But in the meantime, Lackawanna just continues to strike harder and harder to build up a lead. They've knocked that case loose on the 2nd floor, and Atoka needs to be able to get his team on the board. Exactly what will happen, but Peko, just honestly, just nothing that Grim can do in this type of situation, leaving Atoka in a very, very bad predicament. Pressure coming in from below, now above. You have the location of one player, but the other is guarding Catwalk with their lives to lose a majority of your health and somehow walk out of it alive. But not for long, as Open shuts it out.
I don't think Thunderbird were even comprehending the thought of first floor being the opening for Lackawanna to take, because you could see their take was not prepared at all. They didn't really know what they wanted to do, and so when they found that their first kill was a player towards Catwalk and playing towards East Stairs, that was their objective, was can we clear this guy? Can we get this Thorn? And they committed so many players to get that kill. They started to press towards Passport to try to cut him off, and then it was a flurry of kills from Lackawanna that were covering that Thorn. There were layers to what the Thorn was doing that allowed her to play that aggressively towards Mez. So really well played from Lackawanna, and good on them to continue to play sites that maybe Thunderbirds are not very comfortable on attacking and keep their expectations in the air for them to not really expect. Obviously, it makes it very difficult when Blackbeard is the first person to die, because that's your tip of the spear and there's no one there to trade. But nonetheless, really well done from Lackawanna to shut them down and not even give them a chance in that round.
5 seconds to insertion.
I hope we see more from players like Datway, as
Attackers
last
must
map
locate
wasn't too
and
kind to
defuse the
them.
bomb.
If I'm not mistaken, it was either 1 or 2 near 10 deaths, so kind of something you want to clean up. And again, we talk about how this game is very team-based to get the job done. Hopefully they're able to continue to push for a lead. But again, as the Thunderbirds have been the team that fights from behind each and every time, this is going to be that round that kind of decides if they'll be closer to establishing a comeback, or if it's going to be similar to Nighthaven, where the pacing is just going to be too heavy to be able to come back from, and it'll be too late to establish any form of a comeback.
We've seen Thunderbirds have their back against the wall and still be able to clutch up some rounds. We saw it on Labs earlier when they lost 2 rounds in a row and then was able to start piecing together some. They might be able to piece a good kill here opened up on Moss of smoke towards Fountain with the Toga already in the site. But him, or not in the site, but already in the building, but him being this far up does worry me, as there's not really a lot of teammates around him to get a trade if he gets into some trouble. Especially with the bolstering that is Lackawanna's defense towards this Founder off the side.
Hello.
And he's just getting... Yeah, I'll run him. Yeah, I'll run him.
Not the player we were expecting. I mean, we're talking about the 2 fraggers, but there's the castle. The swing, and that's a second kill. You've gotten rid of the main verticality operator as well. Just walk up to the window and claim what is rightfully theirs. As it's another kill in the favor of Lackawanna. 2-man advantage built up here, and the Thunderbirds again just continuously crumbling at the seams as they try to get into the building. They learned the hard way that upstairs is not promised to them. Jacoby finally reeling it back in, but look at the amount of HP on that Nomad, on the Dokkaebi. It is not a very healthy time to have, especially with that pulse lurking below. You've evaded him for now, but with the pings continuously coming out and most of these defenders knowing exactly where you are, I can't imagine this is going to be a fun minute for the Thunderbirds. As I was saying,
I mean, they're already being pieced apart, and they continue to be pieced apart. It's how the open of the round started, and now it's seemingly how it's ended. Smoke grenades and nitrocells being thrown towards the direction of Datway and Jacoby, both just trying their best to stay alive in the hellscape that is the office's side of this map. Datway just eating a smoke grenade to his death. And now Jacoby at 1 HP nearly against 4 very healthy members of Lackawanna. A damn near impossible task to be able to push through.
not what we're expecting when we expect the integrity of the attack, but somehow Jacoby is still alive and fighting out. Still, time looking to expire soon, and I don't like to use the word impossible, but that case is a ways away, and these 3 operators are so far from each other that you couldn't isolate these gunfights even if you wanted to, and Zaptic cleans it all up, giving Lackawanna that 2-0 lead, and Thunderbirds call out that timeout yet again, similarly to last map.
I mean, just identical. Right attack. What they need to be talking about here is, guys, can we take space together? Everyone that walked into the building were isolated. Jacoby opening up office single completely by himself. There was nobody even in the vicinity of him while he was getting that hard breach off. Someone to at least hold the window and try to get a trade or something. Maybe even like East Stairs, some control. But it just seems like they're at a loss for what they want to be getting. Or maybe if they do have an objective as a team of, we want to take this space, let's try to command it. you know, it's okay to slow down other spaces that you are wanting to get, and as a team, collect one thing and then leave and get that phantom pressure going and go get, little collectibles on a Ubisoft game, like an Assassin's Creed of I'm gonna go get this feather and then I'll go around and get this other feather. Like it's okay to slow it down and make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's safely. And hopefully that is what they're comprehending within that timeout.
I do like the fact that they are calling the timeouts when they see that the pressure is kind of starting to get to them. That's not a common trait, as you and I were mentioning on last map. That's not a common trait we see, honestly, in any forms of Siege. I mean, sometimes in the top tier of Siege, at that tier 1 level, we see teams refusing to call a timeout if all things go from bad to worse. I mean, the best example I can think of is Shopify Rebellion. They'll call a timeout, but now with the mandated timeouts, they haven't called one since, and that can really show how teams really find these timeouts pointless, even if it is just 45 seconds, but not for the Thunderbirds. They recognize that there's a problem that needs to be addressed, and that's exactly what they'll do. They trail 2-0 now, and hopefully this timeout is going to give them the space that they need to be able to break that 0 and get themselves on the board.
Run out being threatened by Lackawanna. Love to put that pressure on the Thunderbirds. I mean, they're already kind of back against the wall. They just called a timeout. They only had 4 kills across the first 2 rounds. Keep putting the pressure on them. Don't let them even get a sensible glimpse of what a comeback could look like on this map. Oh my god. I mean, if you get a kill like that, you might as well just keep the pressure going towards top east stairs.
What were we saying about watching only 2 players fragging? It looks like Xenia hasn't got a kill since that first round. It's just Sama going big on each and every engagement, tied up with Saptic and Moss for fraggers. As a mid has been burned off, you've gotten rid of the striker as well, and you are still dealing damage to these players that reside in the area. Starting to force out so many mistakes, so get rid of the Grim as well. Can you get the 3-piece? Yes, you can! The Blackbeard's gone! Absolutely nothing here for the Thunderbirds. The timeout did nothing. They're crumbling again. And Lackawanna finally lose their superstar after burning nearly a minute and 20 seconds into the round. Oh no.
I mean, I don't even know, man. It's Lackawanna is just putting on a show. It just, they are playing with their food, and especially Sama really stepping up and finding flow state within himself. He's just jiggling the same doorway and getting 3 kills while also fighting back against any break players. There was a semblance of a break player, I think it was the Grim, who then doubled up towards top east stair single to try to bolster with the Blackbeard. I'm not sure why we're not throwing any frag grenades or stun grenades that there were in the pocket. I mean, you're playing striker, you should have something there. Or just having another player, or shoot some Grimbees in that direction. Something to make that gunfight a little bit more stabilized. Make it more shifting the win rate of that gunfight into your favor. However, it is also hard when Sama is just that guy. Just swinging out, getting the headshots, getting the kills, and putting the pressure on the Blackbeard. I mean, sometimes when you're facing a player that is just running the server, it can be really difficult to have to decide on, we're going to have to use a lot of our economy to shut down this one player, but then you have to look at the rest of the roster of Lackawanna and say, okay, well, then what do we have left to take out the site and take out Moss and take out Saptic? I mean, it's starting to get real dark on the side of the Thunderbirds.
Hopefully someone can take care of Sama before Sama takes care of them. What a round on that Sui wall, just continuous swinging, and it just keeps working somehow, some way. And dare I say, this is a lot more convincing than Labs was. I mean, Lackawanna, after that timeout was called by the Thunderbirds, couldn't get around until that 5th. But now it looks like they've broken that bad luck streak, because they're now 3-0, untouched on their losses for rounds. If they can keep this round up, they're looking to already have perfected the expected score, which would be a 4-2 split. But if they can go the further mile, either establish a 5-1 or a 6-0, they're really looking to shut out Border as fast as possible.
Yeah, you'd expect maybe after this first half, they're already looking at their game plan for facing off against Michigan as their next match, their next game day in this league of NECC. With the Iron Curtain that they have been putting on this second floor, and every round they get a kill before anyone can even step into the building, before they can even get default cam shot out. They are aggressive. They are fighting tooth and nail. Thunderbirds still haven't found any solution for any of these runouts. Moss gets a second towards top east.
See what happened there? There was a kind of a push-pull factor. Saptic didn't get carried away. They saw that their team got one in the pocket and decided to fall back with a player on that triple rotate. Swung off of the information, called out, and it was an easy display of teamwork to get themselves the kill. In the meantime, you find another one upstairs on the metal detectors in Xenia onto that player sitting outside of detention. It's disastrous. A flawless for Lackawanna. They're sweeping house as the Thunderbirds are starting to get quiet and quieter as these rounds go on.
And that's the danger of watching a game like Division 4. You know, do they have the fortitude to be able to push forward and get through these rough losses and try to find something within to come back and make something happen? You really got to dig deep. Someone has to step up and start frying. Someone has to bring that energy back into the call, because I guarantee you, if we hopped into the Discord or the TeamSpeak or whatever that they're using, Thunderbirds are probably silent. There's probably not a lot of gusto in their place at all, because they are just being slaughtered outside of the building. And so you have to look to your left and look to your right on your teammates on their PCs and think, okay, who's stepping it up? Is it me? Is it you? Or are we just gonna die now? Like, are we just gonna lose? Are we gonna just... Are we happy losing like this? Or are we gonna step up and try to at least get 1 or 2 rounds and make this defense possible? Really want to see them mount something and try to take these fights more willingly and more in their own favor, because Lackawanna is just constantly getting away with murder.
Yeah, it's one of those games where we see the unexpected result that there's been 5 kills across 5 rounds for the Thunderbirds. I mean, an act that really needs to be cleaned up here. You and I were talking about how, actually, it was mostly me, that the intel game is starting to become a lot more important than the shield operators. Although shields haven't become completely obsolete in today's meta, they're very important. Kind of pairing up a snake with a Deimos just allows so much map control and dominance with the intel of the location of the defenders that we really haven't seen Thunderbirds play into this meta yet, and I feel like it's kind of come back to be a thorn in their side as they've lacked to clear out the roamers each and every round on this map. And considering this is a very small map, that is an issue. I mean, there's just been a minute burned off the clock, and that's 2 picks in the favor of the Thunderbirds, but they've lost the line in the meantime, which means going for this play might be a little scuffed without those EE1Ds coming out here. They're just going to fully send it regardless, and there's no warden. The plant's still not going down, so you're going to utilize that C4, so when the second you hear that case go down, you'll throw it down. There's Sama to get the job done, meaning that cross is going to be completely obsolete as Sama takes the face off of Lack. This is my MVP for the game. Denies the play, gets rid of the player upstairs, and reestablishes that man advantage. And the Vulcan Flame gives him the triple. Pekko outside. What in the world is happening?
Alright, Sama, a little overheat, but a very well played round from him. I mean, just impeccable. Everything was going right for Thunderbirds, and they still managed to get shut down. Saptic finally putting the final nail in their coffin. A 5-0 round difference. I mean, literally, that is exactly what they needed to do. They got an opening pick. They got 2 opening picks. Sure, your Lion died, but you're able to get Blitz into the site. You got smokes down. You got the util going. All you forgot was one little nitro cell that slipped through the floorboards and into the loving arms of Blitz, just trying to type in a code into the computer, shutting down what was the whole entire concept of that take. They played a little too fast and didn't clear out a striker that had a C4 ripped and ready. It's just... that was the round for them to mount a comeback. That was the round for them to really get something going again. but with it slipping through their fingers in such a depressing way, that might have been the round that lost them the whole map.
I mean, a man advantage for Thunderbirds lasted a whole 5 seconds, and you know what? That's not even a round that we can talk to their faults. That was just
5 seconds to
a
insertion.
round of individual excellence from Sama to be able to throw a C4, turn around, fry the player off of that armory door, and then the Vulcan canister was just a little bit of the cherry on top to deny that second planter. So such a interesting round to be able to get the job done here, and the Thunderbirds really have not been able to find any response. It goes from bad to worse. Hopefully this is that round that kind of gives them hope, but look at the amount of utility they have to face against. They also have a shield op and a Mira to have to deal with, one of which hasn't died for all 5 rounds of this game, meaning you have your work cut out for you to kind of avoid going to that match point.
So far, so good from Thunderbirds, though. And they're taking it slow, taking it easy, making sure they don't throw away a free kill. My only worry, though, Sino, is this clash is going to be quite the issue from Thunderbirds. We haven't seen a lot of cohesion. Oh my god! Okay,
You know
well,
what? Good read.
you know, Sama didn't... Sorry, that Sama kind of threw me off. Sama somehow not hearing the skeleton key, but yeah, like you said, a really good read and a really great pick because you don't really have a lot of answers, and I was really worried about the cohesion of Thunderbirds to be able to find a solution of that very hulking problem that is the Clash Shield. So with that taken off, and also early frag going to the favor of Thunderbirds, you know, this could be their round to mount some sort of semblance of life back into their call.
Just below 90 seconds on the clock, and Thunderbirds have been able to open up that pick. Question is, can they keep it? Because that's been their biggest problem so far, and as they look to take Armory, Saptic is lurking the plant, temporarily looking to go down here. Mira making her presence known in jail and will quickly get out, but now this is starting to be a problem as TK? The Warden to res his teammate. 50 seconds left. It's the buck from below. Such a big issue, but you've finally gotten rid of him. But you've sacrificed the Tachanka on site, which means the Shmikas are doing absolutely nothing on the contact. Post-plant situation, you need to rely on Saptic to get the job done here, but not alive for long as finally the Thunderbirds spring into action. The round that you need to be able to kind of break the momentum of Lackawanna finally has been set into action as Opit is barely alive. That Toxic Babe won't be doing much favors as everyone has kind of escaped the site and the pivotal areas are being held. One on the rappel, when close on the contact of the breach. You have that lurk that comes in from metal to sweep it all up and get that kill. Beautiful execute.
Really beautiful round there from Thunderbirds, and I'm very impressed that they showcased such a great round and very well thought out layers of that attack. Them getting that opening frag on Clash, but you could see that there were drones set up to ensure that the Buck could safely go into first floor and start putting pressure down. The way that they played that hatch of Little Office was absolutely perfect. They added a lot of pressure. They kept putting pressure of every single defender, and like you said, kept pulling crosshairs away from defenders so that they couldn't play their default spots and they couldn't use their Shminkas to be able to shut down any sort of diffuse. They had a really clear win condition. They had a clear idea of how they were going to help each other out in getting that win condition successful, and I will say they were a little lucky that Lackawanna wasn't very active in countering what Thunderbirds were doing, but that being said, you know, you're going to take that whenever you can get it. So, a really great attack from Thunderbirds. Now you're on the preferred side of border of the defense. You're able to kind of play your own game. This is your own map pick. You know, I'm still a little, I would be still a little worried of saying that a comeback is in the cards and on the run. You know, it's not quite there yet, but you know, the river is looking nice. It's looking like it has potential. We just need to see what that 4th and 5th card have to show for us in these next couple rounds.
a round that, you know, kind of establishes your break of momentum for the opposite team. I mean, they'll still have some, considering they've won, you know, 90% of the defensive campaign that they've had, and it was done in a very interesting way, but still, you'll take what you can get, and hopefully Thunderbirds take this one round and run with it, but still, that gives Lackawanna 4 rounds before they really have to start worrying about the outcome of Border. Otherwise, we could be seeing one of the greatest comebacks in collegiate history.
I mean, you know, it's Rainbow Six Siege. You really never know what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
I mean, like, this is a very winnable series and map to be able to surmount a very substantial run on. I mean, this is also, you know, Division 4 where players make a lot of mistakes. We saw how close Nighthaven was, and even Nighthaven, you know, we saw a lot of dominance from a lot of Lackawanna players, and even then they were being shut down. Oh, immediately a 1-for-1 trade though. There we go.
I mean, more value for the defenders. I mean, yeah, your mute's taken care of. That shotgun and the C4 is very important, but the jammers have already been placed down. Those Selmas haven't come into effect, and that's going to be a problem that you're going to see for the remainder of the round, because you have the can openers, but Sama sits outside of AC window right now, and looks like you're going to be kind of going for a pseudo-east take. The question is, how are you going to get that case in without those crosses established from breaches being opened or taking places like jail?
It seems their idea is to clear out Break and CC here and kind of pinch. Just they're pushing and pulling and trying to get free frags. The FAMAS kind of covers his head, so it's an awkward gunfight. The frag is going to be missing. It slows it down, but with the explosion deafening the Goyo, could give a timer for Snake to make a play. It's all up to Moss for this Lackawanna round to be won.
A minute on the clock, and Saptic forced to get active. The player that we always talk about can always have those frags and ready to soar for his team. You need to get rid of that player in jail, and Pekko somehow walks out of that alive, but Saptic's going to clean it all up, but not before Sama gets taken care of. 2v2, but pseudo. Sama needs to get rezzed, and you only have 40 seconds to do so, as Jacoby is going to be a big player that sits in Fountain, but Tachanka is on the bigger side. That means you'll hear him. If he gets up and runs at you full speed while you try to get that res down, and you're safe for now. You know where he is. Let's just isolate. Get the pre-fire going, but you'll lose that first gunfight, meaning Sama needs to be able to do it. Now, prone for prone, you had the flame bolt. I mean, you could have used it earlier, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And the Thunderbirds grab their second round.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, is the fact that the firebolts were still up. I mean, why do a dry swing on an angle that's being held so obviously when you have the firebolts to use? Just use one, clear him out, and from there you've isolated 1v1 so that it's a 2v1 to continue the rest of the attack. I mean, it was there, but like I said, it was up to Moss to win that 1v1 towards CC as well. But again, I mean, if those are your two win conditions, are these kind of weird isolated gunfights, then there's more overlying issues going that way, and I think the biggest issue was Ace being the first person to die. You no longer have hard breach, so it's a little bit more difficult to get yourself into the sites itself and also to make that presence happen. But once again, we saw Lackawanna kind of have two very separate ideas. One of those ideas was the Capitao by himself towards Archives, while the other side of the fight was happening towards Break. I think they're trying to pinch, and if they have that CC side open, then you can kind of hold the cut through the metal door.
10 seconds to
But
go.
it's just like you're kind of grasping at straws with that being the win condition. It feels like they're kind of going off and trying to just play for kills and then establish where they want to end from there, which is usually not my favorite way of a siege round being played out. I mean, obviously, Lackawanna has been very successful at that, but, you know, I'd like to see some more strong ideas coming from these Lackawanna attacks.
The Thunderbirds look like they've heard our pre-show. They've started to park the bus. It looks like they watched that Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal game earlier today, because these guys are not leaving the site. You'll have some players on the verticality, but that's default for a map like Border. Other than that, no one's getting carried away on the roam, which, honestly, I love to see. They also aren't scared to bring operators that we haven't seen so far, such as that Denari. If you can utilize this operator correctly, you can force so many more mistakes without having to essentially put your life at risk. And I've never eaten my words so quickly as that way goes down and seems to be finished off by that shock drone in moments notice, as Sama is given the intel to just swing in and get that easy kill.
Yeah, from there, what do you do with that kill? Well, the first idea is that Opid dies. Not the greatest way, especially with that Hibana down. Hopefully, I wasn't keeping track of those pellets, but curious how many of those castles were broken. But still establishing this vertical control, which is kind of in their full possession as long as they kill Pekko here. Another flash from the Ram to clear him out, but you flash yourself, making the gunfight a little awkward.
Oh no.
He thinks he dropped?
Does he think he dropped? Oh,
Oh,
god.
my Oh no.
He's in a jammer too, which means the Soliton radar doesn't work at this distance. Come on! You're leading 5-2 and we're making mistakes that we don't even see happening casual. Oh no, you've been able to clean it up good. A 3-all. You've been able to establish somewhat verticality, but those boogie drones are still in the pocket. I take it back. No verticality at all has been established, and these players are like loose cannons. Atoka's ready to flank up Metal when he hears the execute go down. Giving only 2 players, which allows you guys to flood in. But this could be a very big problem if you guys don't coordinate correctly. And wait.
I'd love to see someone go down east and start to pinch. A drop going from Moss to be able to play from Bathroom, though, to link up on the server play. Here comes the hit, though. It's going to be they're just going to be planning in Bathroom and hoping for the best.
I mean, it looks like whatever they try to do, it works. Because you go for an aggressive play, and somehow it pays dividends.
What?
How was that a 3v3? They took the site. You guys played so far away from it, you couldn't react fast enough. You'll pay the dear price. 6-2 is the scoreline. Thunderbirds just had the golden goose on that round, and they completely threw it out the window.
I mean, they were just in such a great position, but like you said, they played so passive towards Tellers. They didn't want to play anything towards Bathroom, or they didn't want to bolster towards even Workshop. At that point, it's a 3v3. You have to choose a way. You have to choose a side to just power and bolster. This is why you see a lot of top teams actually run 3v3 drills, is because 3v3 happens very often. You have to be very fast on your feet and think on your feet on, okay, where do we go? How do we play this kind of these last 30 seconds in order to give us a favorable position? Because if you just stand still, especially on border, you are going to be ran over, and that's exactly what we saw. I thought Lackawanna was going to maybe take a little bit more time and go maybe exterior of east stairs and pinch on Tellers, go for kills there, but I mean, they had no pressure on them in Bathroom, so just get a corner plant that isn't being watched from rotate, and then GG well played. Moss is going to get 2 and have a good time. I'm now at match point 6-2 here, Sino.
A little bit of a disaster of a round and a flood of emotions. I don't know which way it really would prefer, but all that matters is Lackawanna is currently on match point, and this is a complete contrast of last map where we saw max regulation, both teams fighting to the teeth, and Lackawanna now winning on the advantage of having the series point and taking the Thunderbirds map as well. Could just win an easy 2-0 fashion. Now that way, not being in a jammer means the location is continuously exposed by the Soliton radar. Even without the precise location, the Snake knows that there's somebody nearby, making it a little bit easier to walk in and clear. But a minute burned off the clock is the first good deed of the Thunderbirds for this round.
Lackawanna, I mean, the more that they speed up this game and the more that they just put the pressure on the Thunderbirds, the more successful they usually are. Thunderbirds love to slow down the game. That's when they win rounds. They're able to take their time and kind of poke away at the defense. But with Opid getting the opening frag onto Amai, makes things very dangerous because you start to see the Thunderbirds really scramble like this right here, but it's good. He's able to get his, and now it's even to 4-4. But Lackawanna still continue to make some presence happen towards the second floor.
for all. Make that the advantage for Thunderbirds. They've gotten rid of the snake, but Opit strikes back. Now putting you back up at level. Castle in a horrible spot as Septic locates where those shots are coming from and executes that wall and gets rid of a Toka on the verticality. Leaving now just 2 players to defend this site. And it's such a wide site. I mean, it's only 2 rooms, but there's so many different connecting areas that it's a problem if you just can't play off of the correctional areas properly. And with that drone coming in, I feel like the positioning of this Malusi needs to be corrected to that main lobby area. Otherwise, we're easily shot out from the verticality, and the clock continues to run down. The man advantage for Lackawanna is the biggest factor of this execute.
Neither of them are really in a position to make something happen. They're both kind of in a place to catch Lackawanna as they drop down. One being towards main and the other towards middle stairs. Now they've kind of repositioned in corners, playing for audio, listening for the drop. Might have a good kill, gets one, but looks around. 180 isn't there. 1v2, he's able to get one. 1v1 now, Sino.
He's going upstairs, but the kid's already gone down. I mean, you've established verticality, and Xenia, you obviously hear this being established, and you've caught him on the off guard, but it's a blunder. You've let him drop. You need to be able to isolate and win the gunfight here, and that's exactly what you'll do. Lackawanna advance to the finals of the Division 4 NECC playoffs, and the Thunderbirds fall short as they've lost on their own map.
I mean, what an absolute tear from Lackawanna. Just precise and devastating gameplay from them in the means of it was a trial by fire for Thunderbirds to even try to comprehend any of these defenses or attacks. Lackawanna just running them over with a tractor. Full, precise, just weight fully at them, always at the window shooting them down, always just getting these exterior kills or on the attack, putting the pressure on every single defender, catching them on so many drones. They had drones, like I said, in the mid to late round, which led them to win that last round. They saw where Malusi was. They 3-2-1'd her perfectly. Very successful plays and attacks from Lackawanna. They had so many great ideas that they were able to develop throughout the series as well that I'm very impressed by. So very grateful and glad to watch them flourish as they did in Border. Obviously, I would have loved to see a closer game. But, I mean, Lackawanna just looked absolutely devastating. They deserve to see the grand finals against Flint, Michigan.
I wasn't expecting the individual props to go to a different player outside of Xenia and Saptic, as you and I were talking about those uncommon traits. We expected them to just continuously go for the frags and have their team play on the supporting roles, but no. You had another player like Sama step up and show us so much excellence and in throughout so many rounds, able to really hit the nail on the head multiple times throughout that game, and it was evident in the scoreline. Just going back and forth, being able to call out the mistakes of the Thunderbirds really allowed Lackawanna to take it in a much more convincing fashion, and it's only a part of the plot that they've been able to do it on the map pick of the Thunderbirds as well. So it's a very well-deserved win, and honestly, these guys deserve a good night's rest, that it is well-deserved and earned, as honestly, they played a lot better than I expected. I know you and I were talking about how we're not too familiar with these teams, but they called the timeouts when they were unfamiliar with the game plan. They were willing to reset when they were overheating, and that's what made them the clear victors of the night.
Yeah, and like you said, they get some rest, but it's not rest that will last all that long because their next matchup is next week, Wednesday at 7 EST once again, like it was today, and it's going to be up against UMF, good old Michigan Flint. I mean, they're waiting there at the finals, watching this whole series be live streamed, and they're getting that prep going. Once again, Wednesday, at 8, not at 7. I got my time zones all mixed up. But that's going to be an absolute banger. Most likely going to be on this channel, but always check the socials and make sure that you're looking at the right spot at the right time. Again, next Wednesday for that. And for the weekend, it is going to be tomorrow's League of Legends National Semifinals, which I'm excited for as a League of Legends fan. And then Friday is the Overwatch Semifinals. We're starting to see the penultimate game so far here, Sino, and I'm pumped to see what action NECC continues to bring.
100%. I mean, so much esports that the NECC brings us. We see so much collegiate competition in and throughout the weekend, and so much time for us to be kind of consuming so many different esports, whether we go to the Rocket League or we go to League of Legends or Siege. It's just so much gaming for us to watch. I mean, there's honestly nothing I have left to say. T-Van, you have anything before we head off the night?
I do want to remind people that the NECC semifinals are presented by the Army National Guard. Answer the call of the uncommon at nationalguard.com. That's my last notes, that's what I wanted to make sure that we all know. Because, I mean, hey, esports can't be really driven at such a high production like we see here at NECC without the people that support us each and every step. So we got to shut them down. We got to shout them out,
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. A huge thank you to all the sponsors that do make these streams a little bit easier for all of the talent behind the screen. You've had time to light on the producing side and Rennie on the observing side, so make sure to give them your good graces in the chat. But I've been Sino, that's been T-Van, this has been Rainbow Six Siege, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you guys with another Siege game next Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST.
My therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe it, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure out a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the fun. But if I'm honest, I get my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too.